yours.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you. Dear colleagues, it's my pleasure to welcome you to this webinar on the role of the IAEA in strengthening capacity of women in nuclear security worldwide. As Sarah mentioned, this webinar is being conducted within the initiative, the Women in Nuclear Security Initiative, which was launched in March 2021 by the IAEA's Division of Nuclear Security to contribute to our Director General, Rafael Mariana Grossi's vision to establishing the IAEA as a leading global voice for gender equality in the nuclear field. So why are we doing it? Because I think you will agree with me that nuclear security needs the talents of both men and women, as diversity and gender equality bring benefits to all fields. However, women are underrepresented in nuclear security, as well as in the nuclear field in general. So it is important to understand and tackle the barriers that women can face while joining and thriving in the field. So our vision was in the Division of Nuclear Security that through this initiative, we can learn from the experience of women from the agency and from the member states, and with this, through discussing it together, to contribute to promoting and strengthening the involvement of women in nuclear security worldwide. I would like to say that this initiative is set up as an interest group within the global chapter of the Women in Nuclear Network that aims to promote and strengthen the involvement of women in nuclear security worldwide, as well as to enhance the attractiveness of nuclear security jobs and careers to women, especially for the young professionals, for the next generation in this area. Within the initiative, we will be carrying out different activities and conducting webinars, workshops, panel discussions are in the core of these activities of the initiative. So this webinar is the first one. You have seen that we have a very interesting agenda with speakers from different regions. And I would like to encourage all of you to take active part in this activity. So please put your questions, your comments, because by doing this, you will help us in further shaping up the initiative. You may have noticed through the last year that IAEA was carrying out different virtual activities and did not stop for a moment. So we wanted to use an opportunity to have a webinar with you and not to wait for the time when we could make this activity face-to-face. So I hope that these virtual arrangements will not represent a challenge for all of us to have an active discussion right now. So with this, without further delay, I would like to give the floor back to Sarah to introduce the next speaker, and I'm looking forward to participate in the active discussion, which I'm sure we will have during the next hour. Thank you. Sarah, over to you.
Thank you, Elena, for those opening remarks and for introducing the initiative. I would like to now pass the floor to Ms. Dominique Mouillot, the President of Women in Nuclear Global, who will formally inaugurate the Women in Nuclear Security Initiative as a new interest group in WIN Global. Ms. Mouillot, over to you. Anna, please could you promote Ms. Mouillot from an attendee to a panelist so she can unmute? Just bear with us for one moment. Perfect. Ms. Muyo, can you hear us? Ms. Muyo, you're muted at the moment. I don't know if we're having some technical difficulties here.
I cannot speak.
We hear you now, loud and clear.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Welcome, Ms.
Because
Muyo.
you, as organizer, you have cancelled my micro.
No, we can hear you now, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very
Over
much.
to you. Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, to inaugurate this day and this webinar, I would like to remind you the role of WIN Global. So please, if you can send this next slide, please. So what is the vision of WIN Global? WIN Global wants to be a forum for exchanging information and raising awareness of the benefits of nuclear and radiation applications, enhancing the quality of life with special emphasis on safety that ensures protection of the public and the sustainability of environment and climate, and to promote gender equality. So when you read this vision, you will understand why WINC was created also under the umbrella of WIN Global. Okay. So next, just to remind you that WIN Global is an international organization specialized in nuclear sector with 35,000 members and 144 countries belong to WIN Global. And we are a non-profit making organization of women working in various fields of nuclear energy and radiation applications. Okay. Our mission is to develop a dialogue with the public, to contribute to knowledge and experience exchange between members and chapters, to promote interest in nuclear engineering, science, especially among women and young people, and to achieve diversity and in particular gender balance in nuclear science professions. Next. So our areas in nuclear sector of actions are climate change, safety and sustainability, gender equality and diversity, network of influence, mentoring and leadership development, provider of innovative solutions, and we are a unique skilled intercultural women NGO in the nuclear sector. So now I would like to say why we are so interested in WINC. Regarding the new group of interest under the umbrella of WIN Global, Women in Nuclear Security Initiative, as I explained you in my previous presentation, this initiative completely fixes with the priorities of WIN Global and our commitment with gender equality. WIN Global is a pool of experts in many fields, among them safety and security areas. WIN Global is willing to contribute to the development of WINC in collaboration with IAEA. We will put our experts in contact with IAEA and will integrate those who could be interested to join WINC after consultation with IAEA representatives. As president of WIN Global, I am very proud that our two international organizations, IAEA and WIN Global, both very committed with the promotion of nuclear technologies, nuclear safety and gender equality, today join their efforts to launch WINSEE. As we have already mentioned, WINSEE was born to promote and strengthen the involvement of women in nuclear security worldwide, as well as to enhance the attractiveness of nuclear security jobs and careers to women, especially for the next generation. Through WINSEE, we want to give support and visibility to women working in security. We want to attract talents. We want to promote the development of their professional careers in this area, and we want to give visibility to them to serve as a reference to the youngest ones. To attract young talent to WIN Global, last year I launched our WIN Global Young Generation Interest Group, which has a strong synergy with WINSEE Group. These two groups, the Young and WINSEE, will benefit from privileged relations between them, relaying to young people both the issues of nuclear safety, but also attracting young people to these careers. Today's webinar is the first activity of a series of actions which will be carried out by WINSEE Group to support the achievement of gender equality in nuclear security. The communication team of WIN Global will promote and support the actions of WINSEE. We can participate in common events, giving a forum to WINSEE during our annual conference, which takes place in different countries. This year it will be in Canada, next year Japan, then Egypt, Ukraine, and so on. I can assure you, Madam Director of IAEA Division of Nuclear Security, Mrs. Elena Boglova, that WIN Global will support WINSEE as much as necessary and in collaboration with you. We will be part of its outreach. On behalf of the community of WIN Global, Mrs. Elena Boglova, we are very aware of the trust that IAEA is giving to WIN Global for launching this initiative. Let me thank you personally. And without further delay, as President of WIN Global, it's a great honor for me to officially inaugurate this group in partnership with IAEA. From now, WINSEE has many challenges ahead that we will face with enthusiasm. I am sure it will be a very fruitful working group and we will see its results soon. Thank you and enjoy this interesting webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Muyo, for your presentation and your kind words. As a woman working in the nuclear sector, I can say that the establishment of this initiative as an interest group of WIN Global is a very exciting development, and I, along with many colleagues, men and women, are looking forward to the opportunities it will provide. So thank you once again to Director Boglova and Ms. Muyo for opening today's webinar, which will be the first in a series of events focused on women in nuclear security. Very shortly, we will hear from 4 women in the nuclear security field who will share their experiences and perspectives on the role of the IAEA in strengthening capacity of women in nuclear security. As I mentioned earlier, time has been allotted for a question and answer session at the end. So please, as we listen to the presentations, note down your questions. You can either raise your hand during the Q&A session to ask your question or make any comments verbally. You can also send your questions through the presentations using the Q&A function in WebEx. So now for our first presentation. This is from Ms. Kaltoum Hakam, an education officer in the IAEA Division of Nuclear Security, who will talk about the IAEA program in capacity building in nuclear security. Before she joined the agency, was a lecturer and researcher at the University of Ibn Tufayl in Morocco and director of the Nuclear Physics and Techniques Research Unit. Among her many accomplishments, she served as the first woman to chair the IAEA International Nuclear Security Education Network, INSEN, and was a member of the IAEA Director General's Advisory Group on Nuclear Security. Is the contact point for the Women in Nuclear Security Initiative, an executive member of WIN Global, a member of WIN IAEA, and founding member and first president of WIN Africa and WIN Morocco. Over to you for your presentation.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for the introduction. Ms. Director Boglova, Ms. WIN Global, President Moyo, dear panelists, dear audience, good day, everyone. I would like to start by congratulating the IAEA Division of Nuclear Security and WIN Global on the inauguration of this interest group within WIN Global. Together, we look forward to promote more women in nuclear security. So I would like to share my presentation, but I can't do it from my side. So thank you, Anna. Thank you. So next slide, please. So I am pleased to give this presentation on behalf of the IAEA Division of Nuclear Security and share our program of assistance to member states with regards to capacity building in nuclear security, as well as sharing with you the IAEA program on gender equality. Next slide, please. The IAEA helps its member states to meet their international obligations, reduce risks, and respond appropriately to threats through the application of the Nuclear Security Plan approved by its 173 member states. Under the plan, the agency offers various types of assistance to help state efforts in establishing, developing, and sustaining their nuclear security regime. One of the key elements of the nuclear security regime is capacity building, including education and training. Next slide, please. In this regard, the IAEA issued the publication NSS 31G to support member states to build capacity for nuclear security, which should be undertaken via a systematic approach that includes provision for assessment, planning, implementation, documentation, evaluation, and feedback. You may read here some of the areas where the agency provides assistance. Next slide, please. Many organizations within a state are responsible for ensuring nuclear security. So the government has a role in developing policy and strategy for nuclear security. Each organization needs to develop and implement nuclear security measures and procedures, and each individual working in nuclear security nuclear facility is responsible to adhere to the procedures and measures in place. The national nuclear security regime should be established, implemented, and of course sustained, both at national level and operational level. As you can see here, education, training, and networks are key elements of capacity building, and I will provide more information on that in the next slide. Next slide, please. So here is a broad overview of HRD, Human Resource Development Program in Nuclear Security in our division. We support our member states in analyzing the needs for education and training programs and developing HRD program. We also offer a comprehensive training program to support member states to build skills and competencies in nuclear security jobs. We also support universities and higher education institutions to build nuclear security education programs to develop the next generation of professionals with knowledge, expertise, and understanding of the importance of nuclear security. We also support member states to establish their nuclear security support centers. The ultimate goal is to develop capabilities for supporting sustainable implementation of the international legal instruments and IAEA guidelines for nuclear security worldwide and to foster nuclear security culture. Next slide, please. With regard to human resource development in nuclear security, the IAEA developed a curriculum for a workshop that conducts at national, regional, and international levels and in different UN languages. The workshop assists in analyzing human resource, educational and training needs, and human resource development planning, and provides information and advice on the establishment of relevant training programs, including training of instructor based on a systematic approach to training. These are some group photos of our workshops. I want to add that we consider the gender aspect in all our activities and take it into consideration when, for example, inviting speakers to our events and conferences, participation in panels, and when also selecting participants in our workshops, schools, and others. And this is demonstrated here in these photos. Next slide, please. With respect to nuclear security education program, the IAEA in 2010 issued the publication NSS 12, titled Educational Program in Nuclear Security. The NSS 12 publication provides a curriculum for a master program in nuclear security and a curriculum for a certificate program. This publication is under revision, and we do hope that the new revision will be issued by the end of this year. In the same year, the IAEA has established the International Nuclear Security Education Network to enhance global nuclear security by developing, sharing, and promoting excellence in nuclear security education. This network encompasses so far almost 200 universities worldwide, and they meet annually in summer. Our next annual meeting will be held from 16 to 20 of August. Next slide, please. You can see here on this slide the wide spectrum of IAEA support with regards to nuclear security education. Among other activities, the IAEA support faculty members in curriculum development and review, as well as the development of teaching material and textbooks that are available on the INSTAN portal. IAEA develops and conducts faculty development courses in partnership with INSTAN members. The IAEA has developed the International Master Program in Nuclear Security and supports INSTAN members in the development and implementation of such programs, as well as provide fellowships for master students. The INSTAN networks provide opportunities for faculty development, networking, cooperation, and research development. Next slide, please. These are some group photos of the graduation ceremony of International Master's Program in Nuclear Security. Next slide, please. Among the nuclear security education activities, there are the school on nuclear security. The IAEA developed the program of this school in 2011 and was first conducted by ICTP in Trieste. Due to the big request from our member states, the IAEA conducts this school program in different regions in the world and in different languages. Here a group photo from Indonesia, here from Trieste in Italy, this photo from Morocco, this photo is from Egypt, and this photo is from Spain. Next slide. Another important network within the Division of Nuclear Security is NSST. Its mission is to contribute to the global efforts to enhance nuclear security capacity building through an effective and collaborative network of nuclear security training and support centers. As you can see, the IAEA has recently issued this document, this tech doc, on how to establish and operate such center. The publication is available on the IAEA website. Next slide, please. The IAEA has also developed e-learning modules that are available on its website and available for self-capacity building in nuclear security. We have so far 18 e-learning courses in English, and 15 of these 18 are translated to all UN languages. Next slide, please. So let me thank my colleague from Gender Office who provide me with these 2 slides on the IAEA program on gender equality. So the agency is committed to gender equality and to supporting the ability of all individuals, regardless of gender, to equally contribute and to benefit from its programs and activities. To this end, the agency strives to achieve gender parity in the secretariat and implement gender mainstreaming in its programs and activities. Next slide, please. So these are the four main areas that the IAEA is working on: gender mainstreaming. And in this regard, the IAEA last year launched the Marie Curie Fellowship Program in March 2020 that provides scholarship for women working towards a master's degree in nuclear science and technology, nuclear safety and security, or nuclear non-proliferation. The next edition, let me say that last year, 100 female students benefit from this scholarship. And the IAEA will open another application, I think in June or July. This will be, of course, on our website for another. So let me please just for my computer. Okay, connect. Thank you. So in regarding also gender parity, the agency is committed to reaching gender parity 50-50 women and men, of course, in professional and higher categories by 2025. And to this end, temporary special measures were adopted in May 2020. Regarding communication, in addition to frequent webinars and events, the IAEA has an ongoing article series featuring our talented women staff members to promote women in STEM fields. And regarding inclusive workplace, in addition to providing staff with a variety of training opportunities, in October 2020, the IAEA collaborated with the other Vienna-based UN entities to host the first ever Enabling Environment Week. And the week consisted of 8 virtual panels discussing inclusivity in the areas of recruitment, talent management, flexible working arrangements, family-friendly policies, and standards of conduct. Next slide, please. So with that, I come to the summary and the key points in my presentation. I would say that education and training are key components of sustaining and building capacity for women in nuclear security. And to that effect, the agency provides comprehensive support to states in building national HRD programs using an integrated systematic approach, including through INSAN and NSST network. The agency is committed to reaching gender parity in professional and higher categories by 2025, and the agency has set a comprehensive strategy regarding gender parity, gender mainstreaming, communication, and inclusive workplace. Next slide, please. And with that, I thank you very much, and if I will be happy to answer your question. Over to you, Sarah.
Thank you very much, for that comprehensive overview of agency activities in nuclear security capacity building, as well as the summary of the IAEA's work on gender. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions at the end to find out more, and we actually already got a comment in the chat from Melina Mondelli, talk about how useful the e-learning modules are. So some excellent feedback.
And we have also a question for Sibnim Odum. So I will be giving the floor now, if it's okay.
Sure, yeah.
The floor is yours. You're muted. Please ask your question.
In fact, hello, by the way. I was going to make a small contribution, if I may, let alone a question to Professor Very nice to see you. I'm an associate professor of international relations at Hacettepe University, Turkey, and I'm the immediate former chair of the International Nuclear Security Education Network. And since I became a member, I would like to say that my educational capacity on teaching nuclear security increased substantially thanks to the opportunities that the agency has provided. It provided a sound network of academics and researchers working on the topic, and it's provided also a physical opportunity to interact and deepen relations between them. And it also observed gender equality in the network, especially in the leadership. Thereby, it also strengthened the capacity of women. And I must also underline how inspiring to see Keltum Hakam with us over the years, and she has been a role model for me. So I would like to thank her again in front of you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for that lovely explanation about your relationship with and also about how you've benefited from the IAEA's capacity building activities. We'll now move on to the second presentation. We can also have further questions at the end, so please either make a note of them or write them in the Q&A function at the bottom, and we'll ask those at the very end when all the presentations are finished. But our second presentation, which will discuss the topic from the perspective of the regulator, is from Ms. Fitria Bakri, Nuclear Security and Non-Proliferation Advisor for the Nuclear and Radiological Regulatory Commission of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Fitria graduated in 2001 with a Bachelor of Science in Nuclear Sciences, and in 2008 she obtained a Master of Science in Nuclear and Radiation Safety, both from the National University of Malaysia. Before beginning her role in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Fitria was the Deputy Director of Policy and External Relations at the Atomic Energy Licensing Board, the National Nuclear Regulatory Body of Malaysia, and she also has 6 years of experience working as a Nuclear Security Officer at the IAEA. So Fitria, please, the floor is yours for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And also thank you to for inviting and giving the floor an opportunity for me to share my experience. First of all, I would like to congratulate to the IAEA and also WINS for the inaugurations of these initiatives, and also for convening this program. I think from my previous years working in nuclear security, this is actually a first of such initiative conducted by the IAEA itself. So I'm looking forward to see how it grows. And thank you very much, Sarah, for your kind introductions. Can we move to the next slide, please? Well, this is a picture that I would like to provide to everyone just to begin the discussion. So if we see from statistic, we are not that bad. So I think we are coming to a point where the gender issues should not be looking at one of the disturbing issues. Instead, a promotion of coexisting and working together side by side between genders. Because for my past experience, even though I'm surrounded by most of male workers or male colleagues, I think the important element that we have to remind ourselves and also people around us is that the focus objective on the matters that we are addressing. And I can tell you that nuclear security is a very diverse and interesting program that comes from drafting a laws to a point where you are handling with equipment, and also to the point that you really puts your boots in the ground, like most of past nuclear security colleagues may wish to define the job that we are doing. So it's basically many areas that can actually be opened for opportunity, as long as everyone, the women's, the males, colleagues are open to take up the challenge. But first of all, just I would like to remind that it is very important to acknowledge the focus, to bring the focus to the subject matter and try to develop ourselves from that sense. And it has been a great pleasure working side by side with the male colleagues. But of course, for the benefit of having a more conducive working environment, having more female colleagues would be much appreciated and looking forward for in the future. So if you can go for the next slide. Like I mentioned, this is a very diverse areas. So you can see that if you look into the fundamental of nuclear security, what we do is basically what is actually mentioned in the fundamental documents. And you are looking at from the point where you are touching the elements, the physical elements of security of radioactive or nuclear materials, way beyond the materials arrive in the countries until it goes out of the countries. If you are talking from the perspective of regulatory bodies, and the work can be challenging if you are considering gender issues, but it could be very interesting if you look into the interest areas of nuclear security. So in this sense, as much as we are emphasizing on gender equality, I would also share my views as a woman working in this area that we need to also open for coexisting, in the sense that we must be ready to take up the challenge in terms of the working environment. So you can work behind the desk drafting the law, and you can also be on site searching for missing radioactive in the like a 20 feet height of scrap metals in the scrap metal industries. So this is the diversity of areas, and the facts that the challenge we have to acknowledge coming from nuclear security point of view. So there should be two ways. As much as the ladies or the female gender, the female would like to be in the nuclear security areas, they should come with the sense of awareness and readiness to face a challenge and to enjoy the challenge. Like for myself, I really enjoy working in nuclear security, particularly as regulatory body. So if you can go to the next slide. Sarah, and okay. So I mentioned about the diverse area. So this, from my past experience, you can choose in the IAEA, when IAEA introduced nuclear security, we are being introduced in the concept of prevention, detection, and response. And each of these areas, I'm glad that Om mentions about the implementing guidance 31G on building capacity, because in that nuclear security guidance, we defined in a greater details. I mean, the IAEA has defined in a greater details the human resource elements and the areas that we can actually focus, and how to actually manage and build the capacity for the state. And when I mentions the capacity of the state as a regulatory body, that is where the guidance or the directions actually we can see how we can actually develop the capacity and value and try to value every single human resource, be it female or male, and to look at them as the same equal entities. So this is going back to my previous slide. As much as we want us to be acknowledged, we also must be ready to take up the challenge, and we have to identify the strengths, the distributions of the strengths. Where can the ladies or the female, the gender of female genders can focus on in order to achieve the quantity, the percentage that we desire to achieve. And I listened carefully that almost saying the expectations is to have like 50% over 50% gender equality, which is great. And I think this is where the planning of human resource take a very important role, and the IAEA roles in providing such support should be leveraged and be benefited by member states to see the areas how we can actually enhance the numbers and to match against the working environment that's with both genders and coexist in a harmonized ways. And at the end of the day, all of us actually try to achieve or contribute to the development and capability of the state, and in the long run, together we will support in the achieving of the global objective of nuclear security. So I mean, in my experience, if I can speak on my personal experience as a woman, starting working with the regulatory body in Malaysia, and now I'm working with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's regulatory body. If we really have the interest, you have to see where you can gain the benefit, and you have to bring the benefit back to the organization you work and the state that you work. So you can see the IAEA provide a lot of framework. We have to utilize the network we have, all the guidances, the capacity building, and also funding to a certain extent in nuclear security funding to leverage from this and get the benefit to the state and also to ourselves in developing our career. Next slide. So I think it will not be fair to speak about the benefits, to speak about the challenge without proving the achievement growing with the IAEA. I was working with the IAEA, and this achievement comes as I was working with the IAEA, also working with Malaysian, and now that also bring my career path to Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And I'm saying that the sky is the limit, the opportunity is so big. And also what you have to know is that once, for example, I'm a regulatory body, I'm a regulator, I work for the regulatory body, we should understand, develop ourselves into the specific areas that are actually making ourselves beneficial to our organization. So, I mean, working with the IAEA has brought me to developing nuclear security publications, particularly like I mentioned, the implementing Guide 31G. I work with the diverse nationalities from developing countries to developed countries. It's a really great experience where it builds my network, knowing people's, including my current CEO in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This kind of interactions actually open up not only building building to the objective of what we are doing, achieving objective of what we are doing, but also creating a network that actually open for more opportunities in the future. Supporting IAEA events and developing instructor training course. This is actually what I highlighted here is a genuine product that I managed to work with colleagues in developing them and creating partnership agreement that has not been created before. And we did 2 videos on exercises at marine and land borders. So this is something like I would like to encourage my other female colleagues, and also to call for most of the male colleagues who I'm surprised to see many of male colleagues that I knew from my past experience and the current experience are actually participating with us today. This is a very positive development and direction. We can see that this kind of cooperations and initiative is being monitored, if I would say, or in a better way, supported by our male colleagues attending this webinar. So this is what I would like to say, that when you acknowledge the role of regulatory body, how IAEA can help us and what are the initiatives available, it is always also, it's up to us actually to grow and to bring that benefit both to the organization we work, to the state that we are working with, and at the end to ourselves. So if we can go to the next slide, I just would like to point out, whatever it takes, it is always attitude that also very important. I mean, I'm glad. I just wanted to point out, I come from a really female background, and I end up working in the background, in the working background where a lot of females. I came from a girls' school, completely 100% girls' schools. A family of 6, of which 5 are girls. So when you have this kind of environment, and we put a focus, like I want to be a good regulator, I want to work well as IAEA nuclear security officer, and I want to develop myself in that certain nuclear security areas, it is actually at the end of the day, you will manage all the challenges that may arise, and your male workers who may present the double the numbers of you at most of the situation will be part of your supporting system. So it's good to have a family that's supporting, a leadership that supports. Previously, I worked with most of my boss, I mean, are males and very supportive and always pushing us forward, enjoying what we do, and having a colleagues that always support you, having a good networks that not only to speak about officially not network, but also the network that we can actually exchange our views in actually enhancing nuclear security and bring the benefit to strengthen regulatory control in the states. So this is what I would like to share this evening, and other colleagues. And I think this is briefly and really personal for my own experience. I support the initiative, but again, I think it is important for both, I mean, male and females to be coexisting. But as we promote for coexisting, we also must acknowledge the equality in terms of workload, and at the end of the day, policy and implementation that comes together with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fitria, for that really interesting presentation, sharing your perspective and your experiences, and I'm sure that it will resonate with a lot of the participants of this webinar today, so thank you. And I'm sure there'll be many questions as well, which we'll get to at the end. But before we move on, just a quick reminder that you can send your questions via the Q&A or raise your hand and we'll give you the floor at the end. So the next presentation is from Ms. Constanza Bucaray from the Department of Illicit Trafficking Control in Chile, and she's going to discuss the topic from the perspective of law enforcement. In addition to her degree in public administration from the University of Santiago de Chile and her master's in public management from the Pontificia Universidad Católica de Valparaíso, Constanza has a diploma in contemporary political studies from the University of Santiago de Chile and a diploma in security in the modern state from the National Academy of Political and Strategic Studies. After working for 13 years for the National Customs Service of Chile, 7 years at the Regional Customs Office in Valparaíso, Constanza is currently in charge of the National Security Plan. Constanza, please, over to you for your presentation.
Thank you so much for this presentation. And hello, everyone. As I have been told, I have had the honor of being invited by the IAEA to discuss the role of women in nuclear security, but from the perspective of law enforcement agencies. Next slide, please. Regarding the role of frontline officers, I would like to present a brief description of flow. The frontline officers are the customs administrations, the police, the border guards, the intelligence officers, etc. And our role is related to support the nuclear security detection architecture, employing or institutional knowledge and experience in the detection of criminal or unauthorized acts that involve nuclear and other radioactive materials out of regulatory control, either through the use of radiation detection instruments or through intelligence and risk analysis work. We must consider that security risks have increased and diversified. Criminals organizations have known how to take advantage of technological advances, and law enforcement agencies we try to adapt by developing new skills and innovative ways to combat the streets. This is directly related to the need to promote a prominent participation of women in flow. Next, please. Just to give a little of context, the UN Sustainable Development Goals number 5 is related to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Gender equality has been recognized as a fundamental human right, and it's a prerequisite for achieving sustainable development, growth, and competitiveness. Various international organizations, such as the WCO, the IAEA, the OPCW, and also Interpol, among others, have incorporated this issue as an integral part of their capacity building programs, and also in their internal and external policies, since it contributes to improving the overall performance. Next, please. Thank you. Regarding gender equality and diversity in flow, in general, the existing international reports show that the participation of women in frontline agencies increases operational efficiency. However, the barriers we face are numerous. For example, there are more women participating in frontline officers' agencies, but the culture of the organization remains the same. Another point is that gender norms and stereotypes limit women participation in flow. That is related that women in higher positions in flow are still a very low percentage. Another important thing to highlight is that sending women to specialized work groups is something that is progressing very, very slowly, especially in the mid level of leadership. And next, please. So what we have seen in the previous slides leads us a question. Why we need more women working in law enforcement agencies? Because first, it's not a question of women or men. It's a question of diversity. To have more women in flow allows to take advantage of the knowledge, skills, and capacity to the entire population collectively. Women, we are equally capable and can receive training to perform specialized jobs in the same way that men. The participation of women in flow contributes to a positive perception of the organizations and improves the cooperation and trust of the community. This contributes, for example, to obtain intelligence information if the community trusts in the organization. Next, please. Here we can see some initiatives implemented by international organizations, such as the World Customs Organization, the Interpol, and of course the IAEA. Because of time, we are not going to develop them like individually, because the time is not enough, but we can see that there is an important and a real intention to address the issue of the role of the woman in security, nuclear security, and regarding the perspective of flow. For example, the WTO have launched gender equality and diversity in customs compendium. They also have a tool named Gender Equality Organizational Assessment, the GEOAT, which aims the customs administrations of the world in assessing their policies, practices, and activities to see where to further address gender equality. As an integrated part of the modernization agendas. Another example is, for example, the declaration of the Customs Cooperation Council on Gender Equality and Diversity in Customs. This is from 2020, and among several initiatives related to the participation of women in flow. Next slide, please. In the same way, Interpol, with another friend agencies, have produced a report in 2020 called Women in Law Enforcement in the Asian region, which highlights, this report highlights that although women contribute more to more effective law enforcement, we still face many obstacles in our participation in all facets of police operations. Next, please. And of course, the role of the IAEA, we have to stop for a moment to mention some relevant initiatives. The IAEA is aware that women are underrepresented in the nuclear field and also in law enforcement organizations. But it's important to highlight that women have been leaders at the IAEA for decades. And it's very important for the law enforcement that in these invitations, in the event invitations, the IAEA strongly encourages member states to identify and select suitable female participants. They always put in the invitation a note that called the organization to consider women for these events. And another several initiatives such as that bring us today, Women in Nuclear Security Initiative that is launched in the last March. Next slide, please. Here we can see some pictures of the IAEA in my country, in Chile. In this, in the picture of the left, I'm with Fitria in Mexico, and what I want to highlight with these pictures is that in most of the events that the IAEA have had conduct in Chile and also in all the countries, they always call the participation of women. In all the meetings, in all the events, we always have a very important number of qualified women working with the team. So it's a matter, it's an issue very relevant for the IEAA. Next, please. And finally, and a very important point are the challenges that we face as a woman in the security field. It's important to work for increased the participation of women in managerial and leadership positions to gradually reduce the gender gap in decision-making positions. Another important point is to increase the representation of women in public and professional forums, as well as in internal panels of floor organization from our perspective. Another point to highlight is to generate a cultural change in organizations regarding, for example, motherhood. Such as developing and implementing procedures on, for example, breastfeeding in the workplace in accordance with the World Health Organization recommendations. To promoting flexible and remote work can allow a greater number of women in flow. For example, carrying out intelligence and risk management tasks from our homes. Of course, this is a world concern to advance in equal pay standards and also improvement the student programs and expand strategic relationship with higher education institutions to promote the entry of new generations of women to flow. And finally, it should be noted that the IAEA is committed and concerned with these issues, with most of these challenges, especially the equal participation of women in nuclear security field. And with this, I end my presentation. Thank you very much, and I don't hesitate to ask questions in the chat, please, or comments. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Constanza, for your presentation. Regarding the challenges that you mentioned at the end, there was a focus on exposure of women in the field and in leadership positions and in public and professional forums, which certainly works to inspire the younger generation of nuclear security professionals, which leads us nicely on to our next presentation. Our final presentation, which is focusing on the perspective of the young generation, is from Ms. Adeola Muse. Adeola works in transport security in the nuclear security section of the Nigerian Nuclear Regulatory Authority's Department of Nuclear Safety, Physical Security and Safeguards. Adeola has a master's degree in nuclear security from the University of National and World Economy in Sofia, Bulgaria. Adeola, the floor is yours for your presentation. Adeola, we're struggling to hear you at the moment. Just bear with us for a moment. We seem to be having some technical difficulties here. In the meantime, while we try to solve this, this audio issue, perhaps I can ask one of the questions that we've received during the presentations. The first one, this is for from Margaret Sareva, who says, there have been a lot of meetings and panels to discuss gender parity, often with very limited male participation. Has there been a noticeable shift in available opportunities in actual selections?
Thank you, Sarah. Could you repeat the question, please?
Of course. Margaret Sareva says, there have been a lot of meetings and panels to discuss gender parity, often with very limited male participation. Has there been a noticeable shift in available opportunities in actual selections? I think specifically regarding the selections made by the IAEA during for your workshops and capacity building activities.
So is this question regarding the panel that hosts the IAEA or in general? So I would say that we need to have 50-50% at the panel discussions. Even when talking about gender issues, we need to hear from both male and female their views on this topic, as all we are working together in the workplace, and we need to enhance the work environment. And for both of us as colleagues, sometimes regarding the gender issue, sometimes we like this panel, we need to hear from professionals in the field, and we have limited, but of course we will count the input and the participation of male. And in the past, within Instant organized some panel discussion for women in nuclear security, and they were male participating in this panels. Thank you.
Thank you, I think we're going to try and see if we can hear Adeola now. We've had some, we've checked the technical side.
Hi, Sarah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Sorry about that.
No problem. The floor is yours for your presentation.
Thank you very much. I feel honored to be here today. Good afternoon to distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bilikisu Adeola Muse, and I work for the Nigerian Nuclear Regulatory Authority in the Nuclear Security Division. Firstly, I'd like to thank Professor Hakam for inviting me to speak at this panel and share my experience as a graduate from the International Masters in Nuclear Security. I would like to thank the IAEA for supporting my studies in this master's program for 2 years. This gives me a strong knowledge on nuclear security. Let me thank Dr. Ekaterina Bogomolova for leading this program at the University of National and World Economy in Bulgaria. I'm very happy to discuss my journey in nuclear security, studying Masters in Nuclear Security at the University of National and World Economy, Bulgaria. I was nominated by my organization for a fellowship offered by the IAEA to study a master's degree in nuclear security to become an expert in my field. Sarah, next slide, please. Education is key to increasing the representation of women in nuclear security. Women in nuclear security education programs has been on a rise, with women comprising 40% of graduates of the international and regional schools on nuclear security. Next slide, Sarah, thank you. International Masters Program in Nuclear Security is designed and implemented within the International Nuclear Security Education Network, INSEN. The International Atomic Energy Agency supports this master program and provides scholarships. The master's program consists of courses providing knowledge in the fundamental areas such as legal framework, nuclear technologies and applications, radiation protection, and in-depth expertise in the main nuclear security areas, prevention, detection, and response. The design of the master's program in nuclear security is characterized by a combination of theoretical and practical sessions, demonstrations, case studies, and technical visits. The program ends with the preparation of a master's thesis and its defense. Next slide, please. The third and fourth group applicants from 2017 to 2019 and 2018 to 2020 respectively consisted of 7 applicants from 7 countries, namely Jordan, Nigeria, Iran, Yemen, Republic of South Africa, and Mali. Next slide, please. Nuclear security training that I've participated in over the years. Next slide, please. International organizations supporting gender equality. Women in Nuclear Global. WIN Global is an organization which supports and encourages women working in nuclear science and its applications throughout the world. WIN Global is a non-profit organization with around 35,000 members worldwide, including chapter members and individuals from 129 countries, organized nationally, regionally, and internationally, and is still growing. Membership includes women working professionally in medicine and healthcare, regulatory authorities, industry, and independent research. Women in Nuclear Africa Regional Chapter, referred to as WIN Africa, is a regional non-profit and non-political association of national chapters and individuals focusing on women working professionally in various fields of nuclear sciences and technologies. WIN Africa is an affiliate of WIN Global. The members commit to providing information and communication to the public, as well as empowering young women and girls in advocating the gender equality. I know in Nigeria, we have strong women leading the WIN's chapter of Nigeria. It is important to have identifiable and effective role models, not only in nuclear security, but the nuclear sector as a whole, and be mentored by the best. Mary Curie Fellowship Program, the International Atomic Energy Agency, launched a new fellowship program for up to 100 female graduate students per year to help close the gender gap in the nuclear field. Named after the twice Nobel Prize winner Mary Curie Fellowship Program, aims to increase the number of women working in nuclear science and technology. The IAEA will provide scholarship for up to 2 years for women pursuing a graduate's degree in nuclear science and technology or non-proliferation studies. The Mary Curie Fellowship Program seeks to enable more women from around the world to pursue a STEM career, with focus on nuclear science, technology, nuclear safety and security, or non-proliferation studies. Next slide, please, Sarah. The extent to which the nuclear program has prepared me to contribute to my institute, shared knowledge acquired within my institution and other national organizations, training young professionals in the field of nuclear security in Nigeria, and share good practices which has been learned through my studies. Increased confidence in myself, which increased the output of work. Improved quality of regulatory functions based on the international guidance. Next slide, Sarah. Thank you. In summary, nuclear security education and training is very important as it gives deep knowledge and understanding on nuclear security. The International Master's Program in Nuclear Security is very helpful. IAEA support is very much appreciated. And I pray that women in the sector not only build themselves up, but help to build other women too in this sector. So each and every one of us has a success story to tell our younger generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adiola, for your presentation. In the interest of time, as we only have just over 10 minutes left, I'm going to ask a couple of questions that we have in the chat and then also hand over to some of you who have put your hands up to also make an intervention. So the first question I have here is for Fitria, and it's from Tamisha Bino, who says, you mentioned that women should be ready to take on the challenges that come with working in the field, alluding to some aspects that might be more physically demanding. Have you encountered this in some of your female colleagues, or do you think it's the main concern for women in this field? And what other aspects of working in the nuclear security field do you think women find challenging? Fitria?
Thank you very much. It's a very interesting question. To be frank with you, if I can share my own experience and observations, and if I can bring you back to my presentations, the focus really is on the attitude and what we want out of the work that we are doing. So in principles, from where I came from and from the work that I've done from the past two organizations and now in the new organizations in the new country in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, I can see that the approach and the opportunity are actually given fairly, as long and in that sense, it is always requires us actually at the end of the day to set our mind how much and how far we want to go. I give you an example, Sarah, in 2011, I cannot remember really, I was doing this nuclear security training exercise, and I was with Stacey Mule, and we were doing it for Malaysia, between Malaysia and Thailand, and we are the two ladies actually leading the initiatives. And we have to work through borders, areas that are secured, and sometimes we have to meet peoples, and sometimes we are, in most of the time, not sometimes, we are the only ladies in the room. So we have to be mentally prepared in this sense, because some people, they would be not comfortable in that situation. So this is why, I mean, when I speak about, if you want an opportunity, we have to be open-minded, and we have also to be ready to accept the challenge. Because once you acknowledge these working areas of nuclear security, we cannot disregard the fact that historically the area of security and safety is dominated by males. This is by history. And in terms of numbers, I'm not saying in terms of contributions and quality and roles, because in the past there are also ladies who are also at war and doing, you know, the same job and fighting for the countries in principle. So in short, I would say the challenge with this, because some of my colleagues, even sometimes with the place, you cannot even find a ladies, you know, to do the business. So this is part of the things that we have to acknowledge. And I think one of the reasons why I think I would promote this kind of initiative is just that it would give more facilities that would also be accessible to the female in working in this area, and also the acceptance from our, you know, counter-gender, the male workers, to also be supportive in this sense. I'm glad and I'm lucky to tell you, I mean, I had like these experiences, and none of my male colleagues are showing some intimidating behaviors or not being supportive. In fact, I feel really protective doing nuclear security, trying to secure nuclear materials. But as long as I would really have to emphasize about focusing on what we are doing and acknowledging the environment and knowing what and how actually to gain the benefit and objective. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, Fitria. Following on from that, actually, we have a comment from Jason T. Harris about that there needs to be more male champions to truly have gender equality, and this works as you know, working together professionally with male and female colleagues. And he asks how many males are participating in this webinar. While I can't give the number exactly right now, I will say that in our initiative, we do have a number of male colleagues who are working with us and have helped organize this event. So It really was a team effort on that front. I think now we're going to give the floor to Gaspard Lyoko Mboyo, who requested to ask a question. So if we can promote him.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello, if it's Gaspard, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I was not paying attention. So, sorry. I just wanted to ask a question because I'm sorry, I should be with some of my collaborators. They are women because it's an interesting woman, of course, but they've been taken by some other activities. So they will be coming back very soon. But I have a question on behalf of one of them. She was in need of going through training on nuclear security, of course, master. There was a Brandenburg University. That was because when I was seeing the presentation from Madam Akam, there was something she mentioned on the Brandon University. It was an online training, master training with the German university. So she went online and she was going to do some research and everything in order to know how to apply. But she received no answer. She saw on the website and the platform from the Brennan University that master doesn't exist anymore. So I wanted to know whether it's true or it's not true. You can help me and then have answers on this. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, I can reply to this. Indeed, the IAEA has supported the University of Brandenburg in developing and implementing this master program, and it ran for 2 cycles from 2018 to 2020, and now, yeah, it stopped. That I can't say from our side as IAEA, because the IAEA is not running the master, but it is supporting the master programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Hum. But is there anything to? I mean, of course, it's on the side of the Brandon University. Did you ask them what was the case, or would they restore it one more in the future, or it's like over and never again?
Sorry, I can't answer this question on behalf of Brandenburg University.
I see. Thank you very much, Madam Hakam. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. We're now going to give the floor to Tibian Mustafa, who has their hand up. Please, the floor is yours for your question.
Hello, thanks for giving me this opportunity. This is Tibian from Sudan. I'm working in Sudan Nuclear Regulatory Authority within the Directorate of Nuclear Safeguard and Security. And I'm really happy to be part of this event. I'm also a member of African Young Generation in Nuclear. And also I got an opportunity to participate as a member of WIN Africa. I have 2 questions there. One of them, because I'm working as teaching assistant at Sudan University of Science and Technology in the Department of Nuclear Engineering. So I'm wondering, could the IAEA put support and effort to include nuclear security in Bachelor of Nuclear Engineering program in Sudan, for example? And if yes, could you give me some details of how the university could contact the IAEA? The second question is that as I'm working as regulator, could I hold a leadership position in WIN security or not? Thank you.
I think this is another question that you can provide some answers to.
Sure. So regarding nuclear security education program, of course, the IAEA encourage university professors to include courses or modules at all levels at the university. It could be in bachelor, and so if you would like to benefit from INSAN and from the teaching materials and from many opportunities that the IAEA offers, just email us. Send email to insan at iaea.org, and we will reply to you and give you support. Regarding the second question, to be part of WINSI, you are welcome. WINSI is open to all women and men involved in nuclear security. And this is also our objective, that is an interest group within WIN Global. And Madam President, she in her opening remarks said that they are supporting our initiative, and they will encourage women members of WIN Global to join our initiative. So you are welcome to join us. Send us an email. We will have our membership form. You could send it, and we will have also a new user group that we will post our materials, like this presentation of our activities and others on and you will benefit from it. Thank you.
Thank you, looking at the time, I must apologize. We won't have time to go through every question. Sorry?
I have muted.
Yeah, I apologize that we won't have time to go through every single question. We've received a lot. But as mentioned, this is the first in a series of webinars, so there will be further opportunities to engage with the initiative and ask your questions. So as we close, I would like to ask each of our panelists one final question, and in a few words, one sentence, what's the best way to inspire and support women in the nuclear security field? In a couple of words, what's been the most important thing for you? Perhaps we can start with Constanza.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. I'm sorry, Constanza, we can't hear you now.
I'm sorry, I'm like losing the audio.
Now we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, so sorry, do you want me to refer to the question of the effort?
So the question, just a final wrap-up question, is what's been the most inspiring thing for you as a woman in the nuclear security field, or how can we support and inspire? In a couple of words, one sentence.
Well, I think that we have the same capabilities than men. It's important to confront the issue with the universities, and it's very good to have had this presentation from the perspective of the young woman, and I think that women that we already are in this field, we have to support the new generation of women and to empower them and to convince them that they are capable to work in anything that women want. And I really want to talk about the motherhood, the maternity, and it's very important that organizations support women with child, and that it's also important that women with little child that we know that we still are capable to do any kind of job, and I really hope that all the organizations support women that are mothers, because it's a very big challenge to work with little kids, especially in this context of the pandemic. To be at home trying to work, to attend the classroom. We are full of tasks, but I really hope that organizations can support us.
Thank you, Constanza. And then I think finally, because of the time, we'll go to Adeola for her final thoughts as well. And then also to if you want to end up.
Hi, Sarah. Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
go ahead, Adeola. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, Professor Hakam. Yeah, I think more international organizations such as the IAEA to support us with more trainings and more fellowship for women, for young women as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Adeola. And Ofetria, if either of you have any final thoughts before we close.
Yes, Sarah, I just want to have these final remarks just to share with everyone. Nuclear security is a very interesting area. It's a very challenging and very self-rewarding. And take the opportunity from the program I offered, especially this goes to the whoever are in this webinar, may the supervisors or officers who are about to begin their career. Take the opportunity and learn from the IAEA, take all the platform, equip yourself, and then you can decide where you want to bring yourself and how much you can actually leverage your knowledge and competencies to support your countries and also at the end, the international nuclear security activities. So I wish everyone good luck with that.
So from my side, I would say be open to opportunities. Say yes. Another thing is to take challenge. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to take challenge, and self-learning. Build your capacity in the field by yourself. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you to our panelists. As we close then, I'd like to thank the panelists for their presentations, for their answers to the questions, and to everyone for attending today's webinar and for the very active participation. I hope that you will join us again in the future for further webinars in the series. In the meantime, if you have any questions about women in nuclear security, please do not hesitate to contact us. Anna is going to put up on the screen a slide which has an email address where you can reach us, and also some links to the agency website where you can find out more information about gender at the IAEA. With that, thanks again, and I wish you all a wonderful afternoon. Thanks and goodbye.
Thank you.